eIDAS 2.0 can look like just another regulation, but it's really new infrastructure for how your business proves identity and trust online. In this course, you'll see what that means for you as a relying party and how to turn compliance into an advantage rather than a cost. When organizations first look at eIDAS 2.0, they often start with a simple compliance checklist. Do we support wallets, signatures, and the regulation text? That's just the visible tip of the iceberg. Beneath it sit your enterprise systems, data models, and processes that must adapt to new ways of identifying and signing. At the very bottom is the hard reality. Regulatory, security, and user experience requirements are tightly intertwined. Early pilots can feel easy precisely because they ignore this depth. The real challenge is designing for scale, not for a one-off demo. With eIDAS 2.0, the main difficulty isn't reading the regulation. It's deciding whether you're facing a routine compliance update or a deep shift in how your organization handles identity and trust. We'll apply a simple diagnostic mindset. Don't rely on gut feeling or lobbying by a single stakeholder. Assess objectively. Scan your business landscape for clear strategic signals. When those signals appear, they should automatically trigger a deeper, more ambitious track. One of the clearest signals that you need a deeper technical or architecture track is complex, multi-channel integration. If your customer journeys span mobile, web, and in-person touchpoints, cross multiple EU countries or schemes, or involve high-risk use cases like AML or KYC step-up, you've left the world of simple integrations. In that environment, eIDAS becomes an architectural challenge across channels and markets, not a single vendor plugin. Advanced trust and liability is where eIDAS 2.0 becomes very real for executives. Here, you're no longer just checking identities. You're accepting signatures, seals, and deliveries that must stand up in court. That means every step in the lifecycle, issuing, renewing, and revoking credentials, can create or reduce liability. For relying parties, the takeaway is simple. Your trust services must be technically sound, clearly governed, and legally defensible. When identity is reused across many products, you're no longer just adding another login option. You're moving toward identity as shared infrastructure. That shows up as platform-style identity services, API-first catalogs, or wallet capabilities that several teams want to plug into. The key idea: decisions you make now will either enable clean, reusable components across the organization or lock you into expensive one-offs later. To avoid endless debate about how deep to go, treat the deep dive decision as governance, not improvisation. Start with your readiness and gap assessment. Where exposure is high and capabilities are weak, that's a signal. Next, define thresholds up front. For example, above a certain transaction volume or risk level, a deep enterprise track is mandatory. When those thresholds are hit, bring in architecture, security, and if needed, board-level committees. And then, turn the decision into a funded initiative with clear scope, owners, and timelines. This deep track is for teams who actually need to design or review wallet implementations. We'll look at the technical building blocks behind EUDI wallets, how credentials are structured, how presentations work end-to-end, how onboarding and device binding are secured, and where you trade UX simplicity against strong selective disclosure. A different deep track is for when your organization's architects need to go further down into the plumbing. Here we focus on the PKI foundations that make signatures, seals, and wallets actually trustworthy, and how they connect to your IAM stack. If certificate management or federation is shaky today, eIDAS 2.0 will expose it very quickly. A third track is for teams who must prove, not just claim, compliance. We'll go beyond high-level obligations into conformity assessments, evidence packs, and audit defense. You'll learn to map eIDAS 2.0 to GDPR, NIS2, and AML, and to adapt controls for finance, healthcare, and public sector use cases so your frameworks withstand scrutiny. Think of eIDAS 2.0 and wallets as a golden thread that runs through your whole business, not a standalone compliance project. First, plug it into your digital transformation agenda. Where are you trying to reduce paper, reuse data, or open new digital channels? Wallet-backed identity can unblock those. Next, link it to your customer experience roadmap. Wallets should shorten onboarding, simplify strong authentication, and make high-risk actions feel effortless but safe. Finally, connect identity to your data strategy. Trusted attributes enable better personalization with less data collection and clearer consent. eIDAS 2.0 doesn't live in isolation. It intersects with open banking and emerging data space initiatives. The smart move is to design once and reuse everywhere. A strong wallet-backed identity can serve onboarding, payment consent, and secure data sharing at the same time. That means fewer parallel projects, simpler architecture, and clearer accountability. As a relying party, think in terms of shared building blocks: common identity, common consent, common logging. If you align these streams early, every new use case becomes cheaper, faster, and easier to justify to executives and regulators. You can also view your eIDAS 2.0 work as a continuous loop between building and operating. In the build phase, you design wallet and trust service journeys, select vendors, and agree on assurance levels and controls. Operation is where you run these flows every day, monitor incidents, and adapt to new regulations or wallet ecosystems. To make this sustainable, be explicit about ownership, especially for wallet strategy and trust services. Stand up cross-functional teams across business, IT, and security. Then track adoption, failure rates, and security incidents so each release improves the next cycle. You can structure your learning path the same way you'd structure an eIDAS 2.0 program. First, notice the signals. Do you have multi-channel journeys, cross-border services, or high-assurance use cases? Those are clues you'll need deeper capability. Next, choose the right tracks. Some teams need architecture and PKI depth, others need stronger legal and compliance expertise. Then translate those choices into a roadmap, short pilots, or building shared enterprise capabilities. And finally, assign clear ownership, sponsorship, and funding, so this doesn't stay a side project, but becomes part of your core strategy. eIDAS 2.0 will remain complex, but it doesn't have to remain confusing. Your role is to read the signals in your own business, where identity, trust services, and wallets will really change risk and value. Then decide where to deepen expertise and where to partner. Finally, invest in the infrastructure so those decisions scale. That's how compliance becomes a lasting advantage.